Hello friends, this is Mike from Wright, and this is the explanations video for SAT 2's Writing and Language section, passage number 3, question 32. Now this question comes up in the first sentence of the third paragraph of the passage. Is the sentence that starts Wilmers and Estes right here. Wilmers and Estes caution, however, that having more otters will not automatically solve the problem of higher levels of carbon dioxide in the air. All right, now whenever you see a question in the writing section, you want to go read that question on the page. And here, reading this question, we can see that the answer choices just vary with respect to how they're going to phrase the same thought. So should we say having more otters, or should we say increasing the otter population, or should we say the otters multiplying, or having more otters than other locations? These are just different ways of sort of phrasing the same thought. And so as you're asking yourself this fundamental question that we ask for every question, is this a grammar or writing strategy question? Is this the kind of question that I can answer now just seeing this one sentence? Or is it the kind of question where I need a deeper sense of context in order to tell should I put this thought in or not? The answer to that grammar versus writing strategy question here is that this is a grammar question. It's the kind of question that we have all of the information we need in order to answer it now. Now there's a caveat to that. Formally, this falls under the writing strategy area of the test, the sort of subsection of the test. On the official College Board stratifications of things, this is a style and tone question, and that's because it really isn't about grammar. The wrong answer choices in this question aren't going to be grammatically incorrect. They're going to be permissible ways of forming a sentence in the English language. The rightness and wrongness of answer choices in style and tone questions is going to come not from grammar, but from the style and tone. And here, almost always, the style is going to be elite, academic, American English speakers, the kind of people who are up in the ivory tower writing articles about, frickin' sea otters and stuff. So the explanations for these questions are often a little bit unsatisfying for students who see themselves as native English speakers, might use one of these constructions. And the SAT even admits that these constructions are right. They're grammatical ways of saying these thoughts. But the wrong answer choices are just wrong because it's not how a formal elite academic who's part of establishment science would phrase it. You just have to accept that. That's one of the things the SAT tests. Can you write like an elite scientist? Okay, so let's go through as well as we can each of these answer choices and try to see. I'll do what I can to go beyond just that's not how scientists say things, and try to give as much reason as I can beyond just mere convention. So here we're saying, Wilmers and Estes caution, however, that having more otters will not automatically solve the problem of higher levels of carbon dioxide in the air. Now, the official SAT explanations say that this answer choice is wrong. Answer choice A is wrong because it uses vague, informal, imprecise language. And it's true that convention, academics just straight up don't use this construction. They don't say having more otters. It seems like an unsophisticated way of saying things. Instead, they would say something like increasing the otter population. The SAT official explanations call this a more precise framework. And I think what they're getting at with respect to this having more otters construction, and they're calling this vague, I think because it's not clear when you say having more otters who is doing the having. Here we're talking about, so we've talked about how otters are good for the environment. They help fight global warming by protecting kelp. And here Wilmers and Estes are cautioning that, if the otter population goes up, if there are a lot of otters all of a sudden, that's not going to just solve global warming out of nowhere. And to discuss that in terms of having more otters, it's just not clear, I can have more pets, but that's because, the pets are mine. They're Mike's pets. Who's having pets? Mike's having pets. And here, these are wild sea otters, out in the ocean. It's not clear who's having them. Now, again, this is not to say that this is an agrammatical construction. This is a perfectly grammatical sentence. In fact, it's grammatically very parallel to the right answer choice. This increasing is the same as having, right? Increasing the otter population. The otter population is parallel to otters. in this answer choice right here. So it's not that it's not grammatical, it's that it's non-academic. It's not how elite academics would phrase it. And then I think the deeper reason, or as far as we can go with that, is that it's not clear who would be having these otters. That's where I think the College Board doesn't like the vagueness of this sentence construction. Now, thinking about answer choice C, the otters multiplying, this again, like for real, the main thing is that you're in, like, my inner ear, having like spent a million years at freaking Yale, is just like, oh yeah, like, you know, we don't speak that way. And that is just the main way that you can answer these questions. Trying to go as far beyond that as possible, though, I think here it isn't the otters who are in control right now of the decision of whether or not to multiply. And let me go into a little bit more detail than that. Here, in the context of this passage, we're talking about, so Wilmers and Estes have discovered this link between sea otters and kelp. And weird, like the Wilmers and Estes, and the link between that whole dynamic and helping fight global warming. Here, these are two human scientists who are doing science to solve the very human problem of climate change, of global warming. And we're sort of thinking about these questions in the context of, like, what can we do? Like, who are the decision makers? It's like humans. And so I think that's where, like, if you look at increasing the otter population, for example, you know, the who is increasing the otter population? You know, some subject of that sentence would be increasing the otter population. And here that's like us. Humans would come in and intervene and do stuff to increase the otter population. I don't know what that would be, but maybe it's like, oh, I don't know, like killer whales, orcas hunt otters, they kill a bunch of otters, right? Well, let's like control the orca whales to make it safer for otters. That would increase the otter population. Talking about it in terms of the otters multiplying is it's almost as though like we're detached, not a part of the situation, and we're just sort of watching the otters. You know, are they going to multiply or not? I don't know. Like, I hope they multiply, though, because that would solve global... Well, actually, you know, they're warning that it wouldn't solve global warming. But anyway, I hope they multiply because that would help. You know, humans aren't, in this scenario, so detached that it's like, you know, I hope the otters multiply because if they decide not to, then that would be bad. This framework puts too much power in the otters' hands. But again, you know, I'm sorry if that answer, or sorry if that explanation isn't terribly satisfactory. I don't know if there's that much. I don't know if it goes that deep and if there's that much rhyme or reason to it. Really, it's that academics don't tend to use this construction. We tend to speak more like answer choice B, you know? Tune your ear by reading a bunch of these articles is kind of the best way to study for these questions. But really, if you get a question like this wrong, you know, for that reason, don't be too hard on yourself. There are lots and lots of other way more learnable tricks on the SAT, way more learnable question types on the SAT that are far higher priority than this. Because the way to study for this is just like read a million academic articles, be a part of the elite already, you know, have parents that have passed you down generational privilege, etc. Now, answer choice D is different. If you got this answer choice, if you picked this answer choice and you got the question wrong because you picked this answer choice, this is something where you've made a learnable mistake. And here the mistake is this. There's this general principle of concision on the SAT, especially in the writing section. The idea is if you can say something in a few words, don't use a lot of words to say that thing that you could only say in a few words. And here, the difference between answer choice D and answer choice A is that answer choice D is just the same thing as answer choice A, except it adds more dumb words. Here, answer choice A says having more otters won't automatically solve the problem, and this answer choice D says having more otters than other locations won't solve the problem. Here, when you see two answer choices that differ from each other only in that one of the answer choices adds more words, you really want to ask yourself, you know, are the extra words, here this more than other locations, are those extra words adding value that is essential, like really necessary to the point? Another way of framing that is like, can we get away with cutting out those extra words because of the principle of concision? We don't like using extra words. If you can get away with cutting out those extra words and you don't lose something essential to what the author is trying to say, then you shouldn't. You should get rid of those extra words. And here, having more authors than other locations this is almost explicitly wrong. Here, Wilmers and Estes are saying, oh, like, we can't just raise the number of otters and solve global warming that way. We can't just, like, cover the world in otters and have global warming be solved. And it's not, we're talking about the effects of otters on global climate change. So it's not about having more otters in one place than in another place. We are talking about, like, the absolute number of otters, like, around the world, increasing the otter population around the world, or not like, increasing the otter population here as opposed to, like, in Indonesia, in the west coast of North America as opposed to Indonesia or whatever. But you don't need to go that deep. I mean, really it's just like that having more otters than other locations doesn't add anything that's super important to the thing. So we can just get rid of that. So at the very least, even if you don't have all of those like context cues or your inner ear tuned to how academics usually say things from their ivory tower, you should at least be able to say, all right, it's not D because D is too long. A is a more concise version of D. So if you're picking D, learn that lesson. If you're picking A or C, don't trip too much about it. If you want to get better at these things, just take this as an example. Academics say this kind of stuff. They don't say that kind of stuff. Read more academic articles. It's the way things go. All right, that's all for this question. I'll see you in the next one.